I was recently, I can't remember why I did it. I think it was because I came back from the event in Vegas where I met you.
Mm-hmm.
And Glenn Stearns had been there, and I'd met Glenn and Mindy, and I was reminded of Undercover Billionaire that I'd watched previously. I'd watched the one with Glenn. I'd never watched the one with Grant Cardone, and of course, Grant's wife, Helena, is an EXP agent, and she was on stage as well. So I was kind of reminded of all this, and I came back and I binge watched the second season of Undercover Billionaire with Grant Cardone. And I was so inspired by it. I sent one of my newsletters went out, and a whole bunch of people have gone and watched it as well. But to your point, what it did for me, a whole new business actually came out of that. And it's not because I got the specific idea for the business from Undercover Billionaire. There is just something about watching someone who has nothing, cannot use any of their resources, just use their grit and determination and creativity and hard work to go and create something of value so quickly. I came out of that thinking, man, there is opportunity everywhere if you just have the positivity. It doesn't matter how bad your circumstances are, and just the creative lid was lifted off my mind, and out of that, it kind of gave me the courage to say, no, you know what we need. So the business I'm going to start is a one-on-one coaching business, which I used to do many years ago, but we're going to start a one-on-one coaching business for my EXP team and then extend it broader than that. And I think there's a huge opportunity for a one-on-one coaching program. But I never would have even thought of taking a step and building a new business if it hadn't been for the Undercover Billionaire thing. There's something about belief and confidence and courage and mindset that unlocks opportunity.
Boy, you're speaking my language, and I'm really hopeful in our presentation today that you'll counterpoint a lot of the things that I talk about and bring it up from the perspective of what you've experienced, and you see other people being a coach yourself and a pocket philosopher like myself. So hopefully we can have a real good interaction today. But this topic today is big time.
Fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to it. We're at 4:00, so we want to respect everybody's time. Fred, we want to respect your time. Thank you again for spending this time with us. I get so much feedback, and I actually forwarded you just one of the emails over the last couple of weeks, just to give you a taste of so many people giving me feedback of how they're enjoying the series and how much they are benefiting from it. So Fred, thank you again for everything, and I'm going to hand it over to you.
Outstanding. Well, again, everybody, I am delighted to be here. It's a wonderful thing for me in terms of you and your involvement in South Africa. So welcome. And again, what a wonderful opportunity. And that's kind of the theme here today. I'll ramp up to this theme today, which, we have this 6-part series going. This is part 3 in that series. The topic for today is the best yet least understood mindset for success in sales. And I'm going to, I think, cause this to happen, Steve, with a lot of people. It's like, I haven't heard it that way before. and this is part of my joy as a coach, is doing this particular talk. It's my mission as a coach, actually, to get the word out around the world. And of course, you're on the other side of the world from me, so I feel like I'm tracking today with my mission. But my mission is to get the word out around the world about the true nature of opportunity. And so we'll come back to that. But as a little ramp up to today and a discussion a little bit about what we talked about before, in our first talk, I talked about how the real estate industry is set up for you to fail. And I was thinking about that, the way those words were ordered. The real estate industry is set up for you to fail. It's like it's a conspiracy or something. And I don't mean it like that. I don't mean that it's set up just so you can fail. I mean that it sets up in a way that most agents fail. And I alluded, I've still got my notes here. I talked about the idea of a future model versus a now model. And this is something people are not used to. I also get a lot of delight as a coach when I'm talking to a new group, as I did the other day, and I bring this up. They've never heard of now business. I mean, everybody gets the idea of doing business suddenly or doing business, sooner versus later, but they don't really know how to do that. And all the modeling out there and all the coaching, frankly, is about building your career, building towards success. It's about having a good year or having a good second half or a good quarter, a good month. But rarely is it about having a great day. Philosophically, people will say, I watched the movie that was released by Ryan Reynolds here this last year called Free Guy. And in it, his character keeps saying to people, don't have a good day, have a great day. Right. And it's sort of fun the way he does that. But we think in terms of the philosophy of having a great day, but we don't think in terms of making today pay relative to doing business now. That's just not how we're set up. That's not how the real estate industry is set up culturally to teach us and to foster our thinking. So we have that to overcome. We also have this thing that I call rainmaking, which is business generation. But the way the industry is set up, it's really water management and lead generation. And those, again, push us out of today, so to speak. We kind of get hijacked out of today as we pursue generating leads over time and managing all the water that creates all the things we got to do in the business. But the pure act of rainmaking is not something we as agents are really good at. That is waking up in the morning with no business and having business by the end of the day, or by the end of the week, or at least by the end of the month. For heaven's sakes, 30 days is a long time to go without doing business. That would mean you're not doing things in a way that's effective. That's just the brass tacks analysis right there. And so, I talked about indirect communication, the way traditionally, send out mailings and advertise, and in the modern information age, social media, email campaigns, online advertising. We have all these ways to communicate, but we've sort of gotten out of, or never really did get into that well, the high skill of talking to people. And you don't really have a chance today if you aren't talking to people. Statistically, that's true. If you're doing other things to communicate, the chances of you succeeding in the near term plummet. If you are talking to someone, you have a real chance. So you have to make that job one. And that's for people, they got all this other stuff they're doing. They're not really talking to that many people. That is a problem. And then I also talked about this idea of presentation versus investigation. We're taught to get information flowing from us to the public so that they'll want to work with us and call us when they're ready. That's the whole presentation gig. Versus having conversations with people in which you reverse the flow of information and you get it coming your way, so that you get what are called reveals, actionable directions of information that you otherwise would have missed. And that is the high skill in the real estate business. And on our next session, I'm going to go into real detail on how to do that. But today, I want to address that sort of fifth reason that I talked about on our first call, which was scarcity mindset versus opportunative mindset. What happens is most agents are actually stuck in a scarcity way of thinking. They're not really in an abundance mindset. And I want to go into that in depth. And so we talked about that in the first, briefly, and those other issues we talked in our first get together. And then the last time we talked about how you should develop or adopt really a new definition for success. Because what the real estate industry as a culture teaches us is that success is something you attain or obtain down the road. And I, as a coach, don't teach a future model. I teach a now model, the production model. That's my online learning program. That's what my book is about, which we have yet to title exactly, but let's just call it the production model, the book. Okay. And this idea of making today pay, not making the future pay, making today pay. What are you doing that puts you in a position to do business beginning now? What about that kind of a definition? And indeed, if I go back through the previous month of November, here we are on the 1st of December, a couple of the deals that I did within 12 hours. In other words, when I woke up in the morning, I didn't know that was going to happen. But by that evening, we were in escrow. We were under contract. And I added, just with those two deals, over $60,000 in income to my bottom line for the month of November. Every agent ought to have that skill. And again, next week, we're going to go into detail on that skill. So a little bit of a tease here. And I'm not trying to tease you, but I'm trying to stick with the progression of our 6-part series here. And so I also said in our last talk that not only should you adopt a new definition for success, but you should probably develop a new job description. And I alluded to this a moment ago, but our job is to talk to people. That's our job. And we lose track of that with all the other things that we can do with technology. And there's that whole indirect communication thing. I mean, you can be in communication with people without talking to them. Number one thing you can do today, if you want to have a shot at doing business sooner versus later, is talk to people. And then, again, next week, next call, in discovery mode. I'm going to teach you how to do that. How is it that I wake up in the morning and I start talking with people, and bing, because I have this ability to identify actionable directions within my conversations, I end up under contract just 7-8 hours later. How does that even look like? What is that? Next week, going to do that in detail. All right. So this week, what I want to do, again, the theme is what I call the most important, and it's important to point out, yet the least unknown mindset for success in sales. And as Steve said at the top of the call, this is really what it's about. So many pundits, so many gurus, so many experts, so many luminaries are going to tell you it's all about the mind. I mean, I was talking about my son. I have 2 sons and a daughter. One of them has gotten into tennis in a big way. And we were talking the other day about golf relative to tennis, because my daughter is into golf. Her husband's really into golf, and that's cool too. Both, though, agree that ultimately it comes down to what's happening in here, because they take lessons, they learn the strokes, but then they get into match play and they choke, or they don't do what they've been taught, or they're worried they're going to make a mistake. I mean, golf is legendary for the term the yips. And that's when you get in your head in your backstroke. And so you screw up the forestroke, meaning you blow the hit. It's mental. And so this whole mental thing is huge. And I really want to spend some time today, and we're going to go into that in depth. And again, if anybody has a question, Steve, let's let them ask. If you have a comment, a question, bring it up. But let's really dive in here into what I call the most important mindset for success in sales. And it may not be what you think, because coaching, and Steve, you're a coach, so often teaches us mindset, and it's so important, absolutely important. We in the coaching field, and all of you in the self-improvement world, have a relationship with your thought process, and we all teach, all of us coaches and teachers teach how important mindset is. Indeed, I've been pontificating on that here for the last 3 or 4 minutes, how important mindset is. But what is taught, Steve and the rest of you, what is taught is not enough to succeed with now business. And what is taught is very good, and that is be positive, don't be negative. Now, I think everybody would agree with that. In fact, I'll ask you all, and Steve, you can give me some feedback, but I want you to raise your hand if you believe that for success in real estate sales, you should be positive and not be negative. Raise your hand if you believe that. So a lot of hands going up. Of course, I don't see everybody. So I get it though. Okay, so be positive, don't be negative. And here's the thing: when you're positive, it keeps you in the game. When you're negative, it kind of takes you out of the game. It knocks you out of the game. That's what happens. Negative brings you down. It limits you. It absolutely gets in the way. It can take you out of the game. Being positive, however, never say die, and its derivatives, optimism. How about the derivatives of negativity? Pessimism, cynicism, doubt, fear. Okay. Negativity fosters these derivatives that are not constructive in terms of winning out, in terms of getting to the top, in terms of succeeding. So we know we have to be positive. Here's the challenge, and this is after 20 years of doing this as a coach, Steve. I've learned.
Sorry, because I think I love what you said there. I just want to add another word to the words that you listed there. And the word I want to add is fear. Fear, because negativity leads to fear, and fear leads to inactivity. When people are not positive, they are inactive. They don't take action steps. And to me, that's one of the biggest problems with this whole attitude thing, is it leads to inactivity because of fear.
Absolutely. And, to take a little riff on that, it's a great point you're confirming. The reason fear and negativity, and fear is a type of negativity, cause us not to take action is because they make us uncomfortable. And when we're positive, we're more comfortable. When we don't have fear, we're more comfortable. You see, the issue with action versus inaction is comfort. And what causes discomfort, and fear causes big time discomfort for people, and it causes them, therefore, not to take action. You see, comfort is an evolved survival tool. Back in the day, a person's out walking and there's a cave, and that cave is their home. And if they've got a little fire going in the cave and a couple of pelts down on the ground, and they can just kind of relax, they're comfortable and they're surviving. That's their highest possibility for surviving. But back in the day, you had to go get your own food. You had to go hunting, and you had to go risk leaving the cave. And today, it's not really about survival. It's about quality of survival. And so the people who are willing to get out of their cave, out of their comfort zone, right, they have a big advantage. The people who are unwilling don't. And people who are fearful tend to be unwilling. They don't take action. So there's that little riff on that. So back to this dichotomy in terms of the mindset of success relative to real estate sales. I, over the past 20 years, have identified that undoubtedly there are plenty of agents who are positive who are still failing. You see, if you're going to make your key mindset for success in real estate sales being positive, it's not enough for you to succeed now. Now, that positivity may be what keeps you in the business for the long haul. And when the vagaries of the business happen, the stuff that happens, it's a roller coaster, the positive frame of mind keeps you in the game. And so it's absolutely invaluable and absolutely a must do, but it's not enough to do now business. And so you have to start exploring an upgrade in that mindset, or what I'm going to call a plus to being positive. And this is the message, and this is the thing I was saying is my mission as a coach. I wrote a book about this. I know some of you might have read that already, The Third Law of Success. But it turns out that we, people, human beings, the average Joe or Joanne around the world, does not understand how opportunity actually works. And this is a problem if you want to start doing now business. And that's what our series is about, how to do now business. Okay. So yes, you want to be positive. You don't want to be negative. We've established that. But positivity isn't enough to tap into now business. You have to think of positive v negative. Now let's think in terms of opportunative v scarcitive. These are my words. Had to do some wordsmithing when I was developing the concept. You have positive, negative, so opportunative, scarcitive. All right, you get it. Now, most people are scarcitive, meaning they suffer from scarcity thinking. Let me lay it out for you. And this is in the face of a philosophical agreement with abundance. The average person who believes in abundance and believes philosophically in it and that it's a good thing is nevertheless, particularly when it comes to sales, stuck in scarcity. I'll show you how. So what we're taught culturally is that opportunity is a good thing and that more would be better. I agree on both accounts. But then in the same breath, so to speak, we're taught that opportunity is rare, it's fleeting, it's not always available, it's hard to hang on to, and you better get it before it gets away or before someone else gets it. And all of that is scarcity thinking. All of that is an admission of belief that opportunity isn't there for you now, or there isn't enough, and that, okay, since you believe in abundance, you believe in opportunity as a concept, that it's coming and that your job is to get it to come to you in the future. And of course, that takes you out of the now. And agents are stuck in this loop. They don't understand that the only place opportunity can be is in the now. If you think about it logically, are you ever in the future? Never. You're only ever in the now. So if you don't learn how to tap into opportunity in the now, you're out of the game. And this is a big problem if you're trying to do now business. You have to adopt this mindset that opportunity or lack of opportunity is not your problem.
Fred, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
In your interaction with agents, which you've had many through the years, would you say it is a bigger problem that agents don't believe there's opportunity in general out there? Times are tough, things are slow, or that yes, there is opportunity, other agents are going to do deals, but I don't know how to find it. I can't find the opportunity. Which is more predominant, do you think?
I think that they each are big factors. The idea that opportunity isn't here now, it's out there later, is a big fundamental problem, because that's actually not depictive of reality. There is no opportunity later. There isn't. There's only opportunity now. So the question, is it really that agents think there's opportunity, but they don't know how to access it, then comes into specific play here. Because opportunity as a phenomena is a now thing. Opportunity is always available, but only in the present. That is a paradigm shift, Steve, for people. People believe that opportunity is a good thing, but it's out there somewhere else. It's not here with them today. We believe, the agent body around the world, that lack of opportunity is our big challenge in the real estate business. When really, that's not the challenge at all. The challenge is lack of access to opportunity. You see, the average agent's problem isn't that they don't have opportunity. It's that they don't recognize the opportunity that they have. That shift will change everything in a real estate agent's business. In fact, it will change everything in their life. I tell the story of how it improved my marriage in many ways. Marriage. Now, all of a sudden, I'm talking about marriage. We're here to talk about real estate sales. But there's a link here because after I got married, which is going on 38 years now, and proud of it. 3 wonderful kids, and it's all great, except when it isn't, and then we work it through, because that's what marriage is, right? Working it through. But I used to trip on my wife's shoes. They would be around the house, and she has a lot of shoes, different kinds of shoes and things. And I'd go, walk around beside the couch and maybe stumble over a pair of shoes there, or I might be going down the hall and drift to the right, and oops, I'd trip over a little pair of shoes there, or whatever, shoes everywhere. And not in a bad way, just a normal way, shoes. And I used to think, darn, and so I'd pick them up, and I was thinking, okay, well, I'll put them back in the closet, because she didn't all do it, okay? And that was kind of how I was going along. And I at the same time, or some years later, was really thinking about how opportunity works. And I went through this paradigm shift in how I looked at things that I'm suggesting you all do. And I started looking at everything in my life from the standpoint of opportunity. It's called the question of opportunity. You train yourself to do this. In other words, no matter what happens, you ask yourself the following question: where's the opportunity in that? Instead of, darn, I'm tripping over the shoes, and then picking them up and I'll put them back. She didn't. Okay. That's just idiosyncrasy of mine, I guess. But when I then looked at tripping over the shoes and asking myself, well, where's the opportunity in that? It dawned on me that every time I trip over the shoes, it's a great reminder that she's in my life. And I want that. And so suddenly the shoes are working for me and not against me in terms of being in the way. That paradigm shift can apply to anything. And in real estate sales, it becomes huge. In other words, I understand how opportunity works. Most people don't. And I'm hoping we'll get questions and we can get into this. I see we still got over half an hour. So I really want to get into this. But when I walk into a room full of people, I know there's opportunity for me there somewhere. When I go out to exercise, I know there's opportunity for me there somewhere. I know when I go to buy carpet, or when I go to bring the trash out to the curb for the trash man on Tuesday mornings. What? Why would there be opportunity there? I know that when a car is coming down the street, braking, there's likely opportunity there for me in some way, shape, or form. I just don't know where. And I've taught myself how to identify where. But the skill of identifying where the opportunity is not worth much if I don't believe the opportunity is there. This is why that paradigm shift is so important if you're going to start doing now business. Again, waking up in the morning with no business and having a new actionable direction of business by the end of the day or by the end of the next few days. Again, the premise is, and we did this last time, I asked how many people would rather do business sooner versus later. And everybody said, well, sooner. Okay. The real estate industry is set up for us to do it later. And statistically, most agents don't make enough money to survive that journey. I'm not against building a big business, a big team, a big brand. I'm not against getting the word out, marketing, advertising. I'm not against any of it. I'm simply saying if you go broke before that all kicks in, you got a problem. And oh, by the way, let's say you're really good at those things. Wouldn't you still rather be the person who goes to an event and comes away with a new client versus the person who doesn't? Wouldn't you like to add another $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 each month to your bottom line versus the person who doesn't? So this skill applies if you're new to the business It applies if you're a veteran in the business. It is the high skill in the business, talking with people in discovery mode, but it won't matter if you don't understand that opportunity isn't out there somewhere in the future. It's only here today in the now. That is how life is set up. And we fight that, and we buck that, and we go on down the road over time, letting our most valuable resource slip away, which is our time. Think about it. You can always do more business. You can always make more money, but you cannot make more time. Once it's gone, you can never get it back. We are all on a clock. And so if you're not placing high value in today by learning to make today pay, beginning with this understanding that, yes, you have to be positive, but more than that, you must be opportunative. Opportunative meaning understanding of how opportunity works, tuning into it more often, and tapping into it more effectively. And that is a skill mentally that goes hand in hand with the skill of discovery, our topic for next week. So this paradigm shift out of scarcity into abundance means you have to put yourself in a position where no matter what occurs, no matter what you're doing, you're wondering where the opportunity is, and you know it's there somewhere under the surface, you just don't know where. That belief, that knowledge is a game changer. And this, for some agents, is one of those moments where they're going, because they haven't really heard it exactly like that. But again, the opportunities are there. And life is set up that way. How so? Think of it. Let's think about the realities of life. Okay, everybody's changing. That's the fact. There isn't one human being alive who is not constantly changing. That's the fact. Now, in our lives, we often don't see change. Take, for example, the weather. It might be changing over an hour or two, and we can witness that. Or it might be beautiful for weeks on end where I live. And we get the sense, and the weatherman will say, no change in weather. You can expect that beautiful sunshine just like last week, all this week. No change in the forecast, when actually there's all kinds of change, but it's not the change we're tuned into. So there might be more wind. The temperature might be slightly less or more. It might be a little bit more humid. And again, the way the weather is might change the things that we do. Some person might go for another round of golf. Another person might decide to tend to their garden. Another person might decide they got to stay out of the sun because of, skin issues. You see, even though it doesn't seem like change is happening, it is, and it's always rippling out and causing other changes. That's life. That's how it is. Can't see my hair grow even over a year, although if you look closely, there's a little bit of growth. It's oftentimes subtle, oftentimes microscopic, but it's always happening. And sometimes it's cataclysmic. I think of the client that announced that her daughter was having twins and they were going to need a bigger house. You see, again, everybody's changing. That's the reality. And everybody lives somewhere. That's the fact. And that creates a perfect storm, because the fact that everybody's changing and everybody lives somewhere means that everybody's real estate wants and needs are always subject to change. That doesn't mean everybody's going to do something today. It means there's this flux. There's this movement, and it's always happening. And when you start to talk with people in discovery mode each day, you start to gain reveals on where those opportunities might be situated. And again, this is a paradigm shift and a skill development thing that is available to anybody. And I've taught myself about opportunity. Like I said, I wrote a book about it. But again, opportunity is the outgrowth of change, meaning new possibilities occurring. And any possibility can be an opportunity depending on how you define it. In other words, opportunity is ever present in the now, but not always obvious. And access to it depends on us, not interest rates, not the market, not even our level of experience or our brand. It's all in how you look at it. And I have a huge advantage and almost no competition in the business. Why? Because I understand that lack of opportunity is not my problem. I understand that because everybody lives somewhere and everybody's changing, everybody's real estate wants and needs are always subject to change. And all I have to do is develop my skill in identifying it. So you can see where those two questions you brought up, Steve, are interconnected. And this is a mental thing. You could even say, in terms of this conversation, it's an intellectual thing, but it is absolutely true. We're never in the future. We're only in the now. Everybody is always changing, and everybody lives somewhere. And that creates this perfect storm of opportunity, but you have to learn how to identify it. But what happens is this talk goes in one ear and out the other with so many agents when they first hear it. And they get it. Abundance, yes. And they want more, of course. And they're thankful for this message. And then they forget about it and they go on. And they take themselves out of the game.
Fred, can I interrupt you?
Yes.
Because there's so many thoughts spinning around my head from what you're saying. It's, what you're saying is so profound. And I don't say that I'm not overemphasizing how I feel. It is profound what you're saying.
It is.
So I'm asking myself the question, I'm making some notes here for myself. How is it that the change that I would love to see in every agent who's making the effort to be here with us, the change that I'd love to see happen in their lives needs some things. The first of those things is truth. It needs, because there may be people who believe a lie, that negative thinking, opportunities in the future, all of that. So lies need to be corrected, and lies are corrected by the truth. And what you're saying to us is the truth. Everybody is changing. Everybody lives somewhere, and an opportunity happens today. So there are statements of truth that are made. And sometimes a bare statement of truth can change a person's life.
Mm-hmm.
They have to somehow be, and normally it's an outlier that happens to, because the circumstances of their life, their past, their memories, their relationships, everything comes to a point where they are ready to hear the truth, and it lands on fertile soil. And I'm hoping that that's many people here today, that actually the point you're making doesn't need to be explained any further, because they hear it, they say, yes, I resonate with that. That is true. I understand that's true. And there's a motivation in that, the truth. But you and I both know as coaches that, as you say, in one ear out the other, we need more than just the delivery of truth. So that's where I'm obviously looking forward to next week, where we get into specific skills. Because when someone has, someone can be sitting here thinking, okay, Fred, he's good at this. I can see Fred going out to take the garbage out on a Tuesday morning, bumping into the next door neighbor who's taking his garbage out, getting into a conversation and walking inside with business. I can see Fred doing that, but I don't know how to do that. So obviously learning skills kind of unlocks a bit of that positivity and, wow, maybe I could do that. I've got a couple of scripts, I've got a question, I've got a technique that I can go and work with. And hopefully, you do it once, you do it twice, you do it 3 times. That builds motivation and belief. So there's
absolutely
there's truth that's building motivation. There's skill that compounds and builds motivation. But then there's this other piece, and this is getting to the question I wanted to ask you, is there's still something missing there. You know, you might do something once or twice and see that it works, but still slip back. You kind of heard the truth, you do believe it, but you still slip back. How do we maintain consistently a new way of living, in positive thinking, in being willing to step out in faith with these kinds of conversations? Some motivational speakers say, well, you got to have, you know, what are the things you say in the mirror? Affirmation. You got to have your affirmations, you know. Opportunity is everywhere, you know, like say that in the morning 3 times. Or I'd love to hear your take on that as part of your discussion. Is how do we maintain this clarity of belief that opportunity is everywhere?
Well, there are 2 aspects to the question. There's how do we maintain the belief, and that is a skill that you can build and imprint. So that's one thing. The other has to do with this you know, motivational side of it all. And in fact, in 2 weeks, the topic is how to do the right things and stay on track each day, because people fall off track. That's what happens. I mean, you learn the new mindset, you learn the skill, but then you don't do them. And I see this all the time. I'm in the business of handing real estate agents the keys to the kingdom. I've cracked the code. If you want to do now business, you got to do 4 things. I happen to be talking today about one of them. You got to get your mind in the right place. It's got to happen if you want the chance to identify business beginning now. And you don't want to subjugate your success with this long-term thing called building towards the future. I'm not against that. Again, I want to be on record with everybody. Every agent ought to have that aspect to their business. I don't, because frankly, I don't care. I'm busy as a coach. I own 5 offices, a mortgage and escrow company. I'm a writer. I don't want to build a bigger business. I just want to be able to add $30, $40, $50, $60, $70,000 or more a month to my bottom line. That's all I'm trying to do. It pays for everything else, right? So it's not the money that I love, though, people. It's the power I have to do it. That's what I love about being a production modelist, is the power it gives me to go out and identify new business. But if I have the skill of talking with people in discovery mode next week, do not miss it. But I don't believe there's opportunity there for me today. I'm not going to make the effort to do it. That's the problem with scarcity thinking. And it's subtle but insidious, because you believe in abundance. You would like to do business sooner versus later. We've established those facts about you, okay? But nevertheless, because you don't think there's opportunity here for you now, you get busy making the fatal mistake for now business, which is working today to make tomorrow pay, instead of working to make today pay. If you want to hijack yourself into the long, slow, costly journey of getting success to happen down the road, make that mistake. Working today to make tomorrow pay. Spending your time now trying to get opportunity to happen later, when it isn't even there later, because you're never there later. You have to take responsibility for the fact that opportunity is a now thing, it's a present day thing, and it is a perception. And access to ever-present opportunity is on you. And if you don't have enough opportunity, I'm saying it with love, it's your fault. It's not the market. It's not the interest rates. It's not the competition. It's not your level of experience. This is key. You have to own that plus to being positive. I want you, I urge you to be positive, but you must plus it and become opportunative and start to develop a relationship with opportunity. Now we're getting to the skill side of this.
Brian, I think we have a question. Brian.
Yes.
Yes, Steve. I've got Paula, Paula Dice, who's new at EXP with me. She's got a burning question for you, Fred.
Basically,
Yes.
I think you were asking how to maintain that. Wouldn't it be because you achieve results? And if you have all of this and you don't achieve any results from what you're doing, then you're not going to be motivated to continue doing what you're doing, right? So you have to try and have results.
Well, people definitely they fall into that loop. It's a confidence thing. If they're not getting results, they figure, well, it's not working or it doesn't work for me. But that doesn't mean it doesn't work in terms of this model that I teach. It means that they're not doing it in an effective way. So training, skill building becomes essential. You see, the production model is not a systems model, and future modeling is based ultimately on system building. And so you build your brand, you build your indirect communication, you build your social media feed, you build your campaigning, you build and you build, and you're trying to get that business that you know is out there somewhere to come your way at some point. But it hijacks you out of the now. And so again, if you're looking for results, and we all are, then you have to do certain things. This is indeed why I bottled the production model into an online learning course, because there are things to learn. The production model is a skill model. It is not a systems model. And so the first thing that has to happen is getting your mind in the right place. You see, there are 4 components to succeeding in real estate sales now. 4, and only 4. What you're thinking, what you're doing, how you're doing it, and are you actually doing it now? That's it. There isn't more. But of course, what do we do when we don't get instant results? I call it the bling effect. See a shiny object, we go in that direction. We want to try something new. We hear what other people are doing and we think, well, maybe I ought to do that. And we're pinging and blinging around instead of sticking with the fundamentals. And the fundamentals, again, are opportunity, this whole mindset thing, talking to people so that you actually have the possibility or chance for success today, doing that in discovery mode, and doing it today, not some other day. And once you get in that mode and you hold yourself accountable in that way, the results start coming, because like learning a golf swing or anything, you got to have your reps. You got to keep doing this as you develop your mastery. And remember, you don't find mastery. Mastery finds you by doing. So you have to understand what is the most effective way. Then you have to develop your skill with it, put it into practice, then learn from your mistakes, refine it, and mastery will find you. That's how it works. Now, that might seem like, oh, I got to do all that. Well, is it worth it to you? Is it worth it to you? I'm talking in terms of dollars. You can do the conversion to your currency. But, I'm talking about making hundreds of thousands of dollars more a year.
Yeah, thank you, Fred.
Is that worth it to you?
She's got some serious whys to succeed. So I think she's going to fly, and I think that's why she's here. She's made the effort to hear you and Steve, and yeah, I think we both really appreciate what you're teaching us.
Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, thank you.
I have agents who learn the production model, and then a month or so later they say, well, Fred, I'm really not getting any more business. And I'll say, what does that mean? And they'll say, well, I mean, I'm not succeeding. And I'll say, no, what does it mean that you're not getting more business? And they think about it. And oftentimes I have to prompt them. I say, you're not doing it right. I get people who say to me, Fred, I'm doing everything you teach and I'm still not doing any more business. What does that mean? They're not doing everything I teach. I have never seen an agent who took these 4 basic skills to heart. To heart meaning they learned them, they challenged themselves to own them, and to do them every day. I have never seen an agent who did that, who didn't add multiples of hundreds of thousands of dollars within their first year with it. Never. But Steve, you'll be nodding in the background as a coach. Many, many times, hundreds of times, I have seen agents be introduced to the production model and then not apply it. One thing that's cool, though, about the production model is once you learn how to talk to people in discovery mode and you become proficient, reasonably proficient at applying it, you can start doing business in any situation. It doesn't mean you will always do business in every situation, but it gives you a real or a much higher probability of identifying business sooner versus later than you ever had before. And I have agents who don't really work that hard, who still do business because they know, hey, the opportunity is there. I just haven't been really working for it. But I'm on at this cocktail party and I'm talking to this person and they're in this discussion of discovery and they get a reveal and they go do a deal with that person or with someone that person knew.
Fred, I think you raise a good point, and I want to just springboard off what Brian. Brian, what was your friend's name? Sorry,
Paula.
How's it, Paula? Sorry, Paula. So Paula was saying, results do give us more confidence to go ahead and do it. But I think Fred has raised an important. This is not the point he was raising, but it is actually built into what he was saying. Is that certainly in the beginning of many things that we commit to in life, we personally don't have results doing it, but there are enough results of other people who have done what we are thinking of committing to, who have got results. Now that's why, one of the major marketing techniques of any company in any industry is client testimonials, and real estate agents are no strangers to client testimonials on their websites, etc. That's why when someone like Fred comes in and does a training program, I mean, I wouldn't have introduced him if there wasn't some track record. He has done a deal a week for 32 years, Fred, 30-something years. On average, that it alone, we can't, all I'm saying is the success of others can give you confidence, even if you don't have results yet, which is why it's important to hear the stories of how it succeeds.
Confidence is a mind game, and we are talking about mindset. Remember the success dichotomy: be positive, don't be negative. Don't be negative, be positive. We accept that. What I'm saying is there's another part to the dichotomy. I'm saying don't be scarcity thinking. Be opportunative, abundance thinking. So positivity and abundance go together to create success, if you know how to tap into the abundance. And of course, we're going to go into detail on that from really here on out, so to speak, not just next week, because the high skill in the business, bar none, is the ability to identify actionable directions within the conversations you have with people. And it is skill. It is learnable. And when you learn it, you essentially open the door to success. The opportunity represents the door. And talking to people in discovery mode is the key to that door. But learning that skill is how you walk through the door. So we're going to go into that. So maybe it's a little premature for someone to to, think, well, I don't have any results yet. I mean, this is new to you people. And I'm again, my online learning course is 5 modules and 70 segments. I mean, it's a mini master's on rainmaking. And not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody wants to spend that time, but everybody does want to make more money. And, Brian, you were saying that Paula had some good motivations. That is so key. And I'll jump into that for a second, even though we are going to spend some real time talking about motivation. But the reality in life is it's really one of the laws of success in life. It's called the law of advantage. And the law of advantage, the principle supporting it, observes that you do what's most important to you. We all do the things that we believe give us the best advantage. If you have 2 possibilities and one is apparently a better advantage than the other, you're not going to do the other one. You're going to do this one that is the better advantage. You do that. I do that. We all do that. But we haven't really thought it through mechanically. Once in a talk, someone asked me the question, okay, Fred, and they were a little bit caustic, actually. They said, you think you know everything, and I don't think I know everything, by the way, but you think you know everything. What do you say to Mother Teresa? She's out there killing herself in the slums of Calcutta. And I said, she's doing that because it's more important to her than being in a cloister in some beautiful city, taking walks in the park or whatever. She's doing it. That's sacrifice. Parents do this all the time. Parents who would rather be out to dinner are busy putting their kids to bed because it's more important to them than being out to dinner. It's a sacrifice. So my question to you people is, what's most important to you? Is it the comfort of what you know and the niveau that you currently have and maintaining that? Or is it more important to you to add 6 figures, big money, to your income annually? Which is it? And only you can answer that. Remember, there's no right or wrong. There's only your truth. Steve was talking about truth. What's the truth in terms of how you look at it? And you see, I was like a wind-up toy in a sense when I got into the real estate business because I was motivated. I had left the tennis world in which I was making $100,000 a year. Now, this is 30 some years ago. So let's call that, I don't know, with inflation, could it be twice that much, 150,000, whatever. So I was making enough money, but I had aspirations and I wanted to do more. And the truth is, in Southern California, if you're married and have 3 kids and a house and a couple of cars, $100,000 is, subsistence sort of. It doesn't mean in any way, shape, or form you're rich. It costs money to live here. Okay, so I wanted to make more money and I was motivated. And I had a certain amount of debt that I wanted to retire, that I had through my own buffoonery, to be honest, amassed. And so when I went into real estate sales, I knew I wanted to succeed. And my attitude was, I'm going to do whatever it takes. So then I went on a quest to find out what it takes. And I started going to different coaches. Steve, you know this, the litany of coaches. There's all these different coaches. And one's going to teach you these days social media. Another one's going to teach you past client referral. Another one's going to teach you to do expired listings. Another one's going to teach you cold calling. Another one's, and they're all going to say, be positive, don't be negative. But not one of them is going to clue you in to the true nature of opportunity and give you a shot at making today pay. Not one of them. Now, I have not proven to be great at getting people to buy my coaching products because I haven't tried. I don't do any marketing. It's all word of mouth. But I'm passionate about it. And the people who take this message to heart, and particularly today's message, that lack of opportunity is not your problem. So if you think it is, you're confused. Lack of access to opportunity is your problem, and access is a mental thing. And profound may be an understatement. Not only is it career shaping, which makes it career changing, it's life changing. Owning up to the fact that it's your responsibility and on you to tap into opportunity, that there's always opportunity, but are you doing anything about it? And is that anything you're doing effective or not? And what the industry teaches us is to build towards opportunity down the road. And what I'm teaching you is to learn how to tap into it today. And it begins with the understanding. It's got to be more than a belief. It has to be an understanding that opportunity is there. You see, I know it's there. I don't just believe it. And I don't know it because I'm adamant. I know it because of how the world is set up. Everybody's changing. Everybody lives somewhere. That means everybody's real estate wants and needs are always subject to change. And so I have to develop my skill once I have that understanding of identifying the opportunity. And it starts with being open to it, with the knowledge that lack of it isn't the challenge. It's lack of ability in identifying it, which is a great segue as we go forward, Steve. That ability. But this understanding, it's a mind bender. It's a mind bender. I just said to you that lack of opportunity is not a problem because it's actually not possible. The only thing that's possible is you aren't aware of it. So what I'm saying is, if you're not succeeding, it's on you. But what do? We practice victimization. It's not my fault. The market's not good. The interest rates have risen. The season of the year is the wrong. The competition is too much. And that classic, I don't have any confidence. These are all supporters of failure. And you have to take responsibility for that or not. It's strictly optional. And so I've taught myself how to tune into opportunity. I've built a relationship with opportunity as a phenomenon. You see, what we're taught is
1 minute, and we've got to wrap it up.
What we're taught is that opportunity is a scarcity event, and it's not. It's an abundance phenomena, and you got to learn how to tap into it. And that's why I wear this this cuff on my wrist that says opportunity is everywhere, and why I ask the question of opportunity in every situation. So again, bit of a mind bender, but as a coach, I rate it as essential. And that's why I wanted to talk about it today before we go into the whole discussion of discovery discussion. So I know time is sensitive here, so I'll leave it at that.
Fred, thank you so much. I feel like today was so practical. That is the probably a surprising word for me to use to describe an impassioned plea for opportunative thinking, and yet it is what unlocks practice. You cannot practice anything if your mindset is wrong. So I loved today. It was so good. Fred, thank you so much. Cannot wait for next week as we lay some skills on top of the belief. And let's call it a day there. I'm sure, again, Fred won't mind hanging around for a couple of minutes. We'll close this session officially. So God bless you guys. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you all next week. If you've got questions, you're welcome to hang around now and we can ask Fred.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Fred.
Fred and Steve, I took your sort of advice last week, or was it 2 weeks ago that we did the last course, and I was sitting at Jerry's Burger Bar one evening, getting a burger, and the queue was it's taking a hell of a long to get the burgers. Sitting next to me, some guy. I spoke to him. Where you from? Asking him strategic questions. Are you renting? Are you from Joburg? Where are you from? And he said, no. As it turns out, well, I asked him, what does he do? Why is he here? He gave me lots of information. You ask intelligent questions. And then he asked me, what do I do? And I said, well, I identify opportunities for real estate for people. Or I said it in that way, that vein, the way you taught us. Pardon? No. I said I identify real estate opportunities for clients. He says, oh, it just happens that I'm looking to buy a house, and I've taken him out to see a property already. Unfortunately, he didn't buy it, but he was the very first client to see a house that I listed that I hadn't even advertised yet, but he's going to be a client. He said he's not working with anyone. I must find him a property. So I put into practice what you did at the burger joint, which I would have normally not spoken to someone.
Great story, Brian.
It's a great story. And, the fundamentals there are you arrived at the burger joint, and in the back of your mind, you were wondering if there's an opportunity there, which is the kissing cousin of knowing there's opportunity there, right? I mean, wondering if it's there is born out of believing that it is probably there somewhere. That's the paradigm shift, Brian.
Yeah.
That right there sets you up to have a whole new experience going forward in your career. Now, we're going to build on that, and I'm going to give you better skills than you already have intuitively used. And you're right. I say to people, I help people to buy and sell opportunity properties. I mean, that's what I say. I'm the opportunity guy. I'm not in sales. I'm in opportunity. That's what I say to people.